Others? You can keep on telling me. Yeah, I am seeing the names: Rajashri, Ananya, Devanshu, Sritama, Dana, Ipshita, Aditya is there, right? Utsav, many are there. Ah, nice. Right. Pranshu is there. The ones who have participated in the previous webinar. And how did you like the previous one? We'll be starting this one just when our chief guests arrive. We're just waiting for them. And how did you like the previous one? You can give me a thumbs up. You can tell me. You can open your mic as well if you want to. Everyone? Nice. Right. Others? There are 94 participants right now. Yeah. Others, how did you like the previous webinar? Right. So we are getting all good responses. That's very good to see. It was nice. Good. Nice. So we can put down your hands now. We have brought this webinar. This is an interview-based webinar about mental health, right? And we'll be giving all the details of who the speaker is today and everything. But before everything, I'll be repeating this again. But before that, I would like everyone to take a pen and a paper. All right, note down the points you feel interested in, so that whenever you get the opportunity of asking the question, it will be easier for you. All right, so take a pen and paper and start noting down the questions. Right, so let's start today. First of all, again, thank you everyone. We'll be starting just now. All right, our chief guest, they couldn't come right now, but still,
Hello.
yes,
I was actually asking who are this technical team?
they are from our side. Why?
Actually, I didn't know that.
Hmm?
Didn't know that.
Right, it's fine. Right. So let's start. So first of all, about the organization, we'll be start. First of all, our gracious thanks to all the teachers of North Point English Academy. Our chief guests were JP Madam, our principal Madam, Rector Sir, Bhaskar Sir, and all the teachers, whether it be Sohit Sir, Kavita Ma'am, all the other teachers, Saurav Sir, Pranato Sir, all the other teachers. There are many teachers in the school, and we are grateful for all the support that they have given. So first of all, another member of our organization, Sharana, will be giving the opening statements about our organization, and then we start.
Hello and very good evening, everyone. 8 for Ed Youth Foundation is a student-led organization which is emanated within North Point English Academy, Malda. This organization is working towards the goal of providing free education and literacy to underprivileged children and orphan children, which will make them educated in its true sense and thus helping them to unleash their potentials. During this unprecedented COVID situation, it is the underprivileged children who are adversely affected the most. Providing education and standing beside them in these tough times will make the holistic development of these children. On 18th of July 2021, our organization physically ventured to Madhaipur Primary School near Bhatrabil on the outskirts of Malda. We reached to nearly 50 children, taught them various subjects, provided them with basic stationery materials, distributed food packets, and interacted with them a lot. It was really a heavenly feeling to stand beside those innocent kids who were charmed to have us. We have planned for our second physical venture too on 22nd of August 2021 on Shahabanpur Shishu Shiksha Kendra, Habibpur in Malda district. Secondly, we proudly announce that our organization has already an India-wide following across our social media profiles in this short span of time. We all do expect that it keeps on flourishing and we can keep on reaching further. Lastly, speaking about today's topic of the webinar, mental health, we have chosen this very topic because we thought that depression, stress, anxiety are being a matter of concern during this global pandemic situation, especially for the teens and the school-going kids. We do believe that everyone will be benefited from this webinar. We are also honored to have registration for this webinar in large numbers from across India, which is indeed a matter of pride for all of us. So thank you everyone, and over to Harsh.
Right. So let's start from the very beginning. All right. Good evening, everyone. Again, it's as he said, it's been a month since our last webinar as well. We are grateful to everyone for making it as successful as it was. Just going to the statistics, we had like around 300 participants on Zoom, more than 600 views on YouTube, and it was quite successful in my view. We bring you another, this time an interview-based webinar this time. But before we set things going, again, I would like to mention our great appreciativeness to our teachers from North Point English Academy for all the continued support that they have given us. And the support is such that 8 for Ed Youth Foundation, it initially started with just 3 members, then 5, and now it's a family of 70 brilliant minds working towards a better tomorrow. That being said, let's introduce our speaker for tonight, Ankita Basu, Miss Ankita Basu, Ankita Di, a former North Point student as well, and an MSc in psychology who is endeavoring for the academics in the same. For the next hour or two, Ankita will be answering all our questions. She'll be giving her knowledge of psychology and trying to help us with all the problems that we have. Ankita, first of all, thank you for giving us the time and helping us understand more about this entire topic as we'll be going on. Ankita.
Hello everyone, good evening. I hope I'm audible properly and you can see me as well.
Yes.
Hello. So should we begin or wait for some other people to join in?
No, we can start by your introduction first.
So, I was said to speak about mental health in general. So to me, to begin talking about mental health is like talking about, just a second. I'm extremely sorry for it. So for me, when I begin talking about mental health, it's something like I do not know where to start and where to end. So I have tried to kind of organize all the things in a small presentation so that I do not miss out points. And I have also, like when they approached me, they had a wide range of questions, a lot of queries. So I just tried to sort some of them and brought them together in a presentation. Before I begin, I would like to ask you people that is everybody comfortable in English, or should I come up in a mixed language? Because even one person is not being able to connect, I would come up in a mixed language, in anything that people will be comfortable in.
We are comfortable.
Yes, ma'am, we are comfortable.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
should I continue in English only? Anybody
Yes.
who...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll be going on in English only. So I'll start with the presentation first, because once we finish the presentation, we can go on with whatever questions you have or any doubt that arises in your mind and all. Before I begin with the presentation, will anybody among you want to say anything that you feel about mental health, any idea or anything which you feel you should communicate about mental health? Anybody?
Dee, please repeat your question. I think you were not properly audible.
Okay, so before I begin with whatever I have for the presentation, is there anyone who would like to come up with their feeling or their views on mental health? Anybody?
Anybody from the audience who wants, you can tell us what do you think of mental health? What are your thoughts? Why have you joined the webinar basically? What benefit are you going to get? What are you expecting? Anyone wants to come up, you can tell us. In the chat box, you can say it anonymously to the host and we'll be answering them as well, or you can just open your mic, unmute your mic and tell us. Anyone? Yes, Ashutosh? No, I think it's a very new topic for everyone because it's not the most general topic we speak. So probably most of them won't have that much of idea. Maybe you can start with the presentation.
Okay, then I'll begin with the presentation.
Yeah.
Is it clear? Should I start?
Yes, you can start.
Yes,
Devi.
ma'am.
Yes, we can see everything.
Yes. So, when I saw the flyer for the first time, they say that get it right before it's wrong. So with the very first line, what came up is that, basically we talk about something when it has already got wrong. So this was a very good initiative on their part, that they wanted to talk about something which was not wrong so that we fix it before it gets wrong. With this idea, I'll just go on with this. And in this webinar, because as I have seen, most of the people are adolescent or teenagers. So keeping this in mind, I will go on with, I'll try to talk about predominantly the problems which the adolescents face, the teenagers face, and then go on with an overall idea of mental health. So what is mental health? Let us go with that. Just a second.
Yes, we'll be going with the presentation, but as I said earlier, these are part of Northpoint. He was a part of Northpoint and always will be a part of Northpoint English Academy. She's an ex-student. So, Didi, would you like to tell us anything about your previous journey, anything in brief?
Is the presentation visible?
Yes, it is visible. Yes.
Okay. Just a minute. Okay. I am a novice in Zoom, so just a minute.
Yeah.
Full screen option.
Right. There is a bit of delay because of some technical errors, which I think can be excused in today's date. Everyone is facing that. All right. Yes, Didi. Can we start now? I think everyone's waiting. Yes. And Didi, about your journey in the North Point as well. Uh, And even if I will talk about mental health, first of all, till there is the technical area sorted. So till I talk about mental health, this issue, especially for the last couple of years, which I have found is that it has grown on a very massive scale. Probably because of the lockdown, probably because of online studies and everything. We'll be breaking down, we'll be debunking each and every topic. But before everything, I'm really waiting so that this technical error is sorted. And I would like everyone to excuse us for this. It's nothing wrong from our side or from BB's side. It's just technology sucks sometimes. But still, about mental health, if I'll be talking about one thing, I must say that a physically healthy person is just half healthy person. You need to be physically fit, mentally fit. If you're mentally and physically fit, you can be a very healthy person, and you will be reaching highest level of success because you can work more, you can work better than everyone surrounding you. Because if you have better health.
I think there's some problem with the presentation, because every time I'm trying to show the
Yes.
presentation or share the presentation, I am not being able to change the slides. So maybe one thing we can do is I'll have to exit every time and then come back with a new page and show you people. So I hope that will be okay.
Okay.
Otherwise,
We can do that. Should we start with the presentation or with the questions first? With the presentation, right?
let me do with the presentation first.
Okay. Then we can do like that.
So let me begin like this. I will go on with the presentation, and after every slide, I'll give you people a room to ask question if you feel that you should be talking on it. anything about it. So I hope you can see now.
Yes, we can see, Didi. Yes, we can continue. Yes.
So to begin with, let me define what is mental health. Mental health can be rightly understood in a holistic way of well-being that includes our psychological and social well-being, which is equally important to physical well-being of a person. Mental health and physical health are intricately related to one another, constantly interacting and influencing in being a person. Now, like we have always thought about the physical health, we have given enough attention to what is physical health, how to deal with the signs and symptoms that our body often dissipates, but least have we bothered ourselves to talk about mental health. So I have tried to give a difference in like I have tried to present in a form of difference that what is mental health and what isn't. Firstly, mental health is something that is extremely important, something that everyone has or has to possess in order to function properly, and not something which we commonly say is that occurs to rich people, because we, the poor, are not uh, we, the poor, are not enough to kind of answer or deal with the mental health things, because it's something which occurs only in the poor, rich people. It is a continuum. Mental health is not something if you're unhealthy. It's just like physical health, a continuum. You can belong to any point in the continuum. It's absolutely worthy to take time out for mental health, something we need to look after, and it can be both in positive direction or in negative direction. It is changeable over the time, complex and absolutely real, and nothing is there to feel shy about talking on mental health. Let's break the taboo that we have to feel shy when we talk about mental health. It is not a weakness. It is not shameful. It's not in our mind only. It's not always something which is negative, because we can talk about physical health even when we are not in a disordered state. Then we can talk about mental health when we are not mentally ill. And even when we are mentally ill, it's nothing wrong about talking about it, because we do not fear to talk about, or we do not feel shameful to talk about any physical health condition, right? So why should we feel ashamed of talking about mental health condition? Something you can hear, you can fix, and it's not a fake news or anything. So mental health in this aspect should be understood as something which we all should be talking about. We should be connecting to people. We should come up with our problems. We should be encouraging others to come up with their problems as well. So throughout this presentation, I'll be talking about different aspects of mental health among the adolescents. So I'll have to proceed to the next slide, and I'll have to exit again, otherwise I can't do that. So I'll do that, and I'll be back with the next slide. In the meantime, if anybody has any question about whatever I have said till now, can come up with it, or any views on it, then you can come up with that easily.
Sure.
Hello.
Yes, Nilashish. Didi, you can just rejoin it. All right, I'm taking all the questions from there.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Is there any question yet?
Yes,
Yes.
Nilashish. Yes.
What do you actually mean by holistic?
Holistic is something which will take into consideration every aspect of well-being, not only one aspect or something else, but everything, like to get a whole picture of somebody's well-being. Is it okay? Any other question?
No, Didi, we can start with the next contents.
Here I'm sharing the contents of today's presentation. This will include the my thought presently on teenage and adolescents, the role of parenting and teaching there, the role of peers who play a very important role in the age of in this particular age, the role of environment, the issues which the adolescents face, and a very important part that when as an individual we should come up and seek help of mental health professionals. So I'll proceed and I'll have to again exit.
Question.
Didi, we have a question from Ritishri. In the chat box, she's asking what makes people not accept that their mental health is in a bad condition. Why are people so ashamed of it?
I will ask you to note down this question. We will come back to it when I'll be on the 6th part of the presentation. That will be helpful. Just skip that.
Yes.
So I'll exit once again and I'll come back soon.
Yes, surely. Till then, we can just take more and more questions about the contents. We have prepared, a complete integration list, if I would say, and we'll be asking again all the questions after the presentation is done. Till then, you can, if you want to ask the questions anonymously, you can tell us in the post chat box, or if you want to give your name, you can give it in everyone. We'll be all taking all the questions there. Yes, Dee, we can continue.
Okay. I have learned to change the slide in this way, so it will be helpful now. So who are the adolescents? The people who belong to the age group of 10 to 19 are called the adolescents by who? So the adolescence period begins with the onset of puberty and some other physical milestones. It is a complete transition period, a period from where you're no longer a child, you're not even an adult, and you belong to a phase which is something you do not understand yourself. So being an adolescent is one of the most difficult challenges that you have faced until now, right from which begins right after your puberty. This is a complete transitional phase. Like here I have tried to show here, you see this is a transitional phase where we have relative independence, and also along with the independence comes in responsibility. Now the child who is seeking for independence want to get his or her autonomy, want to take his or her own decision, but to the parents, he's still a child, he or she is still a child. But to him or herself, he's no longer a child and he's big enough to take up responsibilities. And this increased responsibility brings stress both to the parents as well as the child himself. For the child, like when we reach the age of 13 or 12, we feel that we have views about everything that is happening with us, and why will an external agent, in this case can be a parent, a teacher, or anybody, make a decision on my behalf? I am competent enough to talk about myself. I am enough to understand what I need and what I do not. I am seeking for my independence. I am seeking for my autonomy, and this is a very important part of my growth. If I do not seek for independence at the age of 13 and depend on my parent to choose even my dresses for walking out of my house, or where I will go and what I will do, everything is decided by another external agency, then I am lagging as a person to gain independence. Again, with increased responsibility, the child has to learn that yes, I have certain responsibility which has come up with the age. This responsibility part is ignored by most of the child, and they are only with the autonomy part. Now, with every kind of autonomy comes responsibility. So this transition phase, which begins at 10 and culminates at 19, changes a child and take the child from their childhood to an adulthood, where he has to be a social being. He has to be a person, will have to take up all the responsibilities of not only himself, but also the society. Therefore, only independent decision making won't help an adolescent to reach that grown-up age of adult. But again, that starting of or the budding phase where the child is actually want to take up his autonomy is an important and very important part of adolescence. In adolescence, we see rapid development of everything, be it the sexual characteristics, be it the self-identity, or the desire to explore. Once you reach the adolescence, the child has the idea about sexuality. Once the person reaches the adolescence, the child has the idea about self-image, my self-identity. How do people perceive me? How am I to others? This is what he or she is looking up to. He or she develops this identity through a feedback mechanism. Like, what did the person tell about me? This is what become very important in childhood, right? In the adolescence period, once the childhood is past. So they're searching for a distinct self-identity, that I am this. They want to define that, and this is this will again lead to exploration about oneself. If I do not know what am I, then how will I present myself? Then again, this exploration is enhanced or better understood by the feedback the others receive from the person received from others, or the most importantly, the relevant others. There are many people who are talking about us, about now whose words or whose views we are giving utmost importance is what is important in our development or our perception of ourselves. So the relevant other, the views of relevant others is absolutely important in developing self-identity. So as this is a very famous quote by G.S. Hall, adolescence is a period of storm and stress. So the child is in a stress, the child is trying to find his own identity, and in the process he is seeking for autonomy, he's gaining responsibility. The parents are all haywards, that what is going wrong with my child? Why is he or she not listening to whatever I am putting forward as he or she did previously? And so the thing rolls on, so in this way. So this is the concept of adolescence, and we will understand the factors which affect the development. How do I move that? Yes. You can see the slide, right? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it's visible.
Yes.
Okay. Factors affecting development are follows. The person is now neither a child nor an adult, as I said already. A growth spurt. So what is a growth spurt? A growth spurt is the average, is something which suddenly arises and results in sudden change or development in a person. Average spurt lasts for 24 to 36 months, when suddenly a child from a small height gains a lot of height, or develops the female characteristics or male characteristics, get their voice break and everything. The puberty is a part of the growth spurt. Now, the second thing is a body image. Now, what is a body image? Once you reach the adolescence, you'll see you're spending more time before the mirror. You're looking at the mirror, you're looking how you look, you're suddenly concerned about your appearance. Specifically, boys starts looking, get very conscious about their hairstyle and everything. Girls get conscious about the eyelashes and the figures. Like, so are they at all attractive?
तेरा अब्बू का लुंगी में केला मिलेगा केला मिलेगा केला मिलेगा तेरा अब्बू का लुंगी में झांकना में केला मिलेगा केला मिलेगा तेरा अब्बू का लुंगी में केला मिलेगा केला मिलेगा केला मिलेगा तेरा अब्बू का लुंगी में
So should I continue?
Right, we can continue. There are some people like that. We need to ignore them.
It's absolutely okay. So possessing an idealized idea, something, feeling how attractive I am, what are my strengths, how do I appear, how sexually attractive I am, all these thoughts starts coming up as a child starts passing through the age of adolescence. As we know, by the end of adolescence, like from the age of 18 to 21 is the phase when most of the people goes into a relationship. They develop relationship which actually is going to last in their life. It's they have moved beyond the infatuation phase. Then it comes the emotional instability. At this phase, they are mostly emotionally unstable. Upon being threatened, upon being challenged, these are the people who are going to react the most. Upon being said no, they're not ready to hear no from anybody, not even from their parents, not from their teachers, and not even from their friends. So they seek independence. They want to experiment. and they feel irritated upon not being allowed to do whatever they seek for. Again, these people are not, equipped enough to know what they should seek for and what they should not. But that is the part of their age, because this is what will, with their experience, let them know what they should seek for and what they should not. Again, there are two type of people in this case. First, the one who are the daredevil ones, as the, in a very layman's term, they'll experiment, they'll either fail or they'll not fail. And then the second part is the people who will observe other, and they'll try to learn from what they're doing. This is known as observational learning. And once they learn that, okay, so I should not do this, or I should not be doing this, because this can bring about some problem with me, this can keep me in a threat or something, they'll not do that. And then the other person will gain the same knowledge with their experience. And this is what this age is about. This emotional instability is an important component of this age. Then comes the socioeconomic condition. How unstable one will be, how much one will be occupied with their body image, how much the growth spurt will affect the person, is all dependent on the socioeconomic condition of the person. Not only the socioeconomic condition, but very predominantly on the socioeconomic condition, because how much the amount of responsibility the person will get, the amount of autonomy the person will get, the amount of freedom to explore the person will get, is dependent on the socioeconomic condition. Because in our country specifically, which falls, where a large amount of people falls below the poverty line, the socioeconomic condition is something which determines a lot of part in the responsibility vested on them. A child of 10 years or 12 years who are living, who belong below the poverty line, will definitely have to have more responsibility of their family and everything wasted on them than a child who is from a section of society who has quite an affluent family. So the socioeconomic conditioning is a very important factor in ensuring proper development in the child during the adolescence period. Not only during the adolescence period, but in all the period. But it is a very important aspect in adolescence period, because this is a period where the child is facing new stress and storm, which he will not be facing in adulthood, neither did he face in the childhood, because the childhood was protected, relatively protected, and the adulthood he will be equipped with more things with which he can tackle the condition. Now coming to the spotlight effect. So what is the spotlight effect? The tendency to overestimate how much other people notice or think of them. The spotlight effect is something which stays with every adolescent till a very late time. We are the one, when we are in adolescence, we're the one who think that whatever we do is being noticed. I am being noticed at every aspect of my life. What I do, what I wear, where I go, what I think, everything is important. Not only important, it is so important that people also must think of it. People also must pay their importance to it. Like, what I think is so important to me, that when somebody else is not giving me that importance, I am at a despair. That why am I not? I'm distressed. I'm at a despair. That why they're not giving me the importance which I deserve. This lack of attention or inattention which a child faces, or the adolescent or the teenager face, is an important factor which will affect their development. When a person understands the spotlight effect, I am not at the spotlight, but I am at spotlight when only at time when it is important, only at time when I am supposed to be at spotlight, the person will cope with the situation easily. The person will fail to cope with the situation when they have a tendency to think that all the spotlight is on me. So these are the factors about adolescence. So any question about adolescence till now should be dropped in the chat box so that we can look at it before going to the next slide.
Didi, when we talk about emotional stability, So what exactly is, like, why are we more emotional during these times?
This why we are more emotional during this time is more about hormones and because of the biological factors. There are a lot of hormonal turbulence in the body. Suddenly there is rise in progesterone, estrogen level in women, and then in case of males the androgens are at rise. The body is already fighting with a lot, rather dealing with a lot of stuffs which the body had not dealt before. So a lot of energy is invested in that. And again, when any slightest of threat or slightest of challenge comes in from the environment, the body faces a problem in dealing with that as well, because the body has to deal with both, which is difficult. So yes, people are more emotionally unstable during this age. So should I proceed?
Right. And another thing, the spotlight effect. Like, why do people feel that, even there's another question, how to control emotional stability?
Emotional instability can be controlled with practice. Emotional instability is something which a person has to accept about oneself, that I will be emotionally unstable at some time. I won't be emotionally stable throughout. And also, every time I'm faced with a condition where I can be emotionally unstable, the first thing that I have to understand is that why am I being emotionally unstable? But for adolescents, addressing so many questions alone is difficult. But of course, we can always give an effort to understand that what is wrong with us, why are we being unstable and all. But then for it is always upon the adult and also the people around them about the role of the friend. We understand that a child in their adolescence will be slightly emotionally unstable. They can be given like a range up till where their emotional instability will be accepted. They should be warned, and after that, that you are being emotionally unstable to an extent that it is getting difficult for the people around you to be with you. The child will definitely understand. The child will definitely make effort on their own side so that they can kind of understand their emotion and accordingly answer how they feel and they do not feel.
Right. We can. I think we can go to the next slide. There are more questions. We'll be taking that in the question round, in the Q&A round. Till then, we can go to the next slide. Yes.
So the next part will be about the role of parenting and teachers. So begin with that. First, the role of parents. The parents are the one who are at the highest stress during the period when their child is going through the adolescence, right? So how do I exit this one in this way? Yeah. So why don't the parents understand the child? This is a very important question which most of the people come up and tell us that what is wrong with my parent? They don't understand me. Whatever I say, they feel is wrong. So why don't they understand me? So these are the three answers that why don't they understand us during our adolescence day. Firstly, generation gap. There's a big generation gap between my parent and me. The generation gap is not only because of the age, it's because of the advancement in technology, it's because of the advancement in the socioeconomic condition, or or rather change in the technology and socioeconomic condition, upliftment in our living style, change in how we perceive the society, how the society perceives us, and everything. So with the overall growth around us, there results in a generation gap. So the generation gap is something which a parent is also dealing with, the child is also dealing with. So it is a challenge for both of them. So this is the basic reason why the parent fails to understand what we are going through. For example, when a child or an adolescent come up and ask their parent for something like, give me 100 rupee, I'll go and go out with my friends, I'll hang out with them, I'll have something. The parent will be the parent comes up like this, that why do you need to go out? During our times we just sit back at home and talk to our friends, and that made things quite easy, and we were happy in that way. But here they're failing to understand this, that the time has changed. People seek for privacy more than they did in our country during their time. So the generation gap becomes important in this case. Then come the communication gap. Communication gap occurs because both of the person who is taking part in the communication here, the parent and the child, have accepted the fact the other won't understand me. So they do not come up with everything they can communicate about with their parent. Firstly, the age gap and the values and morals that we have imbibed in us from the very beginning have made us incapable of talking to our parents about everything. First, we cannot stand in front of them and speak about a lot of things which we are supposed to discuss before we come to know about them from some other sources. But then we fail to do so because we have never been taught to talk about them with our parents. Our parents are somebody who are always authoritative figures to whom we are supposed to answer. We are not asked question in most of the cases. This scenario requires a very, very immediate change. Otherwise, this generation gap and the communication gap will be very difficult to deal with. Then comes sudden change in role. Now, it demands that the parent changes the role of only being a parent or a caregiver to somebody who is more of a friend, a person who can be communicated during any need, anywhere I'm stuck with in the process of exploring my life. I can come up at least to my parents and talk about it. But the sudden change in role is not understood by most of the parents. Now, when the sudden change in role is not, this role also include a lot of stuffs like why is my child being unruly? Like he wasn't like this before. Then my child has grown up, he's taking his decision all by his own. So what is my role in his life at this moment? The sudden changes where my child was my world, like for a mother specifically, the eating of the child, the dressing of the child, where the child will go, when he will return, it's her world. Suddenly the child grows up. He or she has his own world, their friends, they want to go out with them, have their own time along with their friends. So the mother is left all alone. So the challenge is not only on the part of the child, it's also on the part of the mother. The mother has to come up with a new role where she can keep herself engaged, which becomes very difficult for her because she has given most of the golden years of her life to the development of the child. Now at the age where she is now at the age where she has nothing, most of the mother feel that I have nothing more to work on, I have nothing more to develop. So I have given this person the golden years of my life, or the late youth of my life. Then why will I not expect that person to walk by my wishes or go in the way I wish the person to be? Here, the mother has to understand that the child is a separate entity who has his or her own needs, wants, wishes, goals, and everything. It is difficult on both the parts, not only on the part of the child, not only the part of the parent, but on both the parts. Here, flexibility is the key. Otherwise, it is very difficult for both the child and the parent to cope up with it. So here are some of the parenting tips. The parent need to establish a communication with the child no matter what. The child can come up and talk to the communication should be such that the child can come up and talk to the parent about anything that comes to the mind of the child, or any question that the child faces. The parent should be ready to answer all the questions of adolescents. The child should never be said that, no, I cannot tell you this because you need to grow up for this. If somebody is asking a question, the child is enough grown up to hear the answer. Allow autonomy and privacy, the two words which Indian parents find very, very, very difficult to abide by. The child needs privacy at this stage. The child will explore everything. The child will explore what is friendship. The child will explore what things the other people are trying, which I am missing about. The child will explore his or her sexuality. The child will explore their friends' goals. They will set new goals. They'll try to get them. Therefore, the privacy is absolutely important in this case. And autonomy is also very important part in the development of an adolescent. Because if autonomy is not given, I am not given the freedom to explore what I want to, I will not learn anything. You know, we were given a very nice example when we were being taught development. When a child is crawling, the child is using both his hands and both his legs. When the child stands up, now he has these two hands are free for him to use in any way he or she wants to. So what he or she does is picks up thing, throws at other. This is the experimentation with which he or she proceeds. Once he throws it, like with a lot of force, it goes very far away. He throws it slowly, it will fall before him or her. This autonomy will allow the child to know, yes, I have this strength that I do have the agency to bring change in my environment. In the same way, as we grow up, our autonomy allows us the knowledge that how much change or how much effort we can give or how much changes we can bring in our society. It is the youth who will be working for the change in society. It is the youth who will be forming the new pillars of the society. So at the beginning, if the autonomy is restrained, if they're not allowed to go in any way they want to, and they won't develop the concept of responsibility taking. But again, these people will fail as well. If the parent thinks that, okay, I have given autonomy, I have done my role, then why did the child come up with a failure? When you give the autonomy, every parent should be ready to accept failure of their child. My child will fail, and every time my child fail, I'll be standing behind him or her and telling him or her that, or anyone who is my child, that yes, you have gone wrong here. Next time you do this, please do not go wrong here. Because every time, with every attempt and more mistakes you make, the more damage you'll bring to yourself. Allow their sense of judgment to work, otherwise it won't help. Here I would like to say one thing. Throughout my presentation, I had been calling the child, denoting the child either as him or her. If somebody among the audience do not relate with either him or a her, I'm absolutely sorry for calling the child as a him or a her. A child can, your gender identity can be anything, but because a large population is either a male or a female in our society, I would stick to calling the child or referring to a child as a him or a her. But if anybody in the audience group has a problem with that, can come up, and I will try not to denote a child with any gender. Okay, so coming to the third point. It is very important to listen. Please sit down and listen what your child wants to tell you, because that is the way of their communication. Sometimes it might feel very absurd. Sometimes it might feel that what they're telling is irrelevant, but it is important to listen. Here, the last point is very important. Give correct information before they acquire the wrong ones. Most of the child does mistake or goes on exploring something which they should not, because they're not allowed to do so by their parents and their teachers. Allow them the information, the correct information before they learn the wrong ones. This is mostly important in case of sexual health. We need to let our child, we need to let anybody who is going through the adolescence know what actually is healthy sexual practice, because soon after this age, they'll go on with experimentation about sexuality in very wrong ways if they do not have the correct information about sexuality. So, as I said, parenting is now about building a relationship beyond just guidance. Flexibility towards each other is the key of parenting an adolescent. So I'll move on to the next slide about the role of the teachers. So what are the role of the teacher? The first role of the teacher, in this case, a teacher is now beyond a friend, a philosopher, and a guide. A teacher at this age is somebody to whom a person can look up as inspiration, also somebody a person can hate. So which teacher I will become will depend on the attributes as a teacher I have. As a teacher and as a child, it is important that we respect each other mutually. Like we should take perspective of each other and also draw boundaries. As a teacher, I cannot let my student to come and up to me and talk about everything and anything they want at any time of the day. Of course, I will lend my ear to the problem that he or she is facing, but not always or at any time that he or she feels he or she can come up. Here, this gap is to be filled by the parent. Again, the role of the parent and a teacher is something very overlapping. There are certain teacher who is much beyond the teacher. So there, this definitions doesn't definitely fit in. Then comes taking perspective. Now it is more time for discussion rather than lecturing something. I'm not talking about teaching a subject. Every teacher who is at this moment hearing this knows how to teach a subject much more than what I will tell. So taking perspective in case of making decisions about them, what should be done with them, how they should be dealt with in their academics, how they would like to kind of appear, when they would like to kind of appear in certain examination competitions or anything. Their views should be at least taken before the decision is given on them. The decision should not be something which should be given or like a verdict. It should be something where the child or the person or anybody should feel that yes, I had been the part of the decision making, because at this age the ego is very well developed and the person has their own understanding of themselves as well as others. Then comes the mentoring part. This is a very important time from the perspective of career. So the teacher needs to be fair and firm at the same time, which is quite a difficult task. This time is absolutely important for career forming, because at this time one can make as well as break their career. So be it academics, be it other vocations, this is the time when most of the effort should go in. The child is maturing, he's knowing what is right, what is wrong. So it becomes absolutely important to have a proper mentoring or from the teacher. Now comes the vision exchange. Important to talk beyond pages of book. Empathy and selective encouragement. Now, what is empathy? We all know that what sympathy is. I look at a person, I feel the person is at a bad state. I am sympathetic towards the person. For showing empathy, I need to put my foot in the shoe of the person so that I understand what the person is going through. I need to imagine myself in the place of the person. Not only imagine myself, I need to give active effort to feel what the person is going through or how the person is feeling. This part of empathy is now wasted on both the teacher as well as the student. The student needs to be empathetic towards the teacher as well. Otherwise, it will be a severe problem. Now, coming to selective encouragement. Now, what is selective encouragement? Selective encouragement is anything that the teacher decide to encourage and leaving behind the others. Like, I cannot encourage my student to do anything he or she wants to, but can encourage him or her to do or cultivate those things which he or she is good at. So with this, I'll end this part of parents and teachers' role in parenting and teaching role in adolescence. So any question on your part will be welcomed.
Didi, we have got a few questions from the people. First of all is, as an adolescent with ADHD, anger disorder, and anger management issues, how should I control on my daily life actions?
Where is this question? I'll just find it out.
It's in the chat box, the second last question.
Okay. As an adolescent with ADHD and anger management issues, how do I control my daily life actions? For answer for this kind of question, I would rather want you to visit somebody who is, an expert, like a mental health professional of any sort, because answering this question in a span of 2 or 1 minute is something which is not very easy. So yeah, I would ask you to take professional help in this case. That would be easier for you, as well as it will be easier for you to deal with the problem, and also very helpful and set example for others that you should turn up and talk to professionals every time you need to. So should I proceed? Or should we take some few more questions? Empathetic, ma'am, as an empathetic person.
The next question is, as an empathetic person, is there any way of avoiding being mentally exhausted or being disturbed by other problems?
For being an empathetic person, you actually will not actually have to face any other problem. So is there any way of avoiding being mentally exhausted? Not really, because for being an empathetic person, you'll not face such problem. For being an empathetic person, you can be somebody to whom people will walk up to easily, somebody whom people want to talk to, because he or she is actually feeling comforted.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Does PTSD and trauma affects differently in different age groups?
It does.
Like, does it get severe, or it is severe in
it will depend on many more conditions, like what is the socioeconomic condition, what is the environmental condition, what is the reason of the trauma, why did the person develop the post-traumatic disorder, and many things more. So it is not only an age-related factor, there are many other underlying causes of these disorders.
Okay.
Should we proceed? Harsh?
Yes, Didi. So shall we go for these questions now, for the prepared ones?
Okay.
So first of all, I would say, one of the biggest upsurges for the past couple of years is depression. So why are people getting depressed? Means, what are the causes? What are the causes of depression in a person? What can it be?
Depression is something which is not occurring suddenly. So it was there in this population since a lot of time. But yes, we are talking of it recently, and we have a lot of evidences at this point of time. There are a lot of other causes of depression. Depression can be caused by the feeling of helplessness or hopelessness, or not being able to control the situation. Depression can be caused by a sudden trauma or stress that has arrived in my life, which I'm not being able to meet up. Depression can be caused by bereavement or grief or any other associated condition. When we lose somebody with whom we are very close to, depression can be caused by breakups. Depression can be caused by academic failures. What causes depression can be actually a very wide range of things can cause depression, but how we deal with it is something which should be of importance at this moment, because it's like fever, it's like cancer, it's like any other disorder which occurs in an individual or a human being or in a human being. So depression had been very popular quite prevalent in the population even before it has become only popularized with academical studies. So any other question, or should I begin with the role of peers in adolescence?
So we can move on.
Okay. So peers play a very important role in adolescence. They're the first social network. They're the first social network a child develops. At this moment, to a child, the friends are beyond their family. They're the first group beyond the family. Initially, when a person is born, the person is born to a family. The family is the primary group of the person. So the friends group is the first group beyond the family. It is a self-made network, and hence we try to put all of our effort in that, because the network is made by ourselves. And this is also an important area from where we can escape supervision. Friendship also ensure overall development. Here, sharing is caring. At this is the level where we receive tit for a tat, because here my parents are not present to protect me. My teachers won't let me go because I am unequal exchange. Here we develop all our morals, which is we develop values. Learning and taking up appropriate social role is important, because like you people, you're a group of friends who have taken up a social role of spreading awareness about something, walking up and talking about the issues which are really important at this point. So yes, learning and taking up social role is important thing that occurs during friendship. Achieving personal independence is also an important area of adolescence, which is understood by the friends, because friend will take me as a person I am. I am not a representative of my parent or my family or anything in my friend group. I am just me. Then come the peer pressure. Now, the word peer pressure has a very negative intonation with it. Why do we conform to peer pressure? We conform to peer pressure because we want to be a part of the group, and hence we will go to any extent to be the part of the group which we have made for ourselves. So peer pressure can have three types. Positive peer pressure is, for example, is everybody around my house is very social. They walk up, they gather every evening, not during the COVID time, of course. They walk up, they gather every evening, they talk about things, or they does things which help these dogs who lives in my street. So with every child, of course, of my age. So I'll feel if I do not do that, they'll not take me in my group, and hence I'll go out and help those street dogs. So this is a positive peer pressure, which is bringing about something good in me, resulting in a positive growth. Then come the neutral peer pressure. Neutral peer pressure is something when the person is not actually actively telling me to do that, but I'm doing that just to feel included. It is neither done by the person nor done by, like, an ideal example for this is I can feel motivated to study by observing somebody else to do that, instead of instead of the person actually wanting me to motivate, or not ideally letting me or not ideally wanting me to do that to be a part of the person. But yes, I will feel myself to be, I will feel better if I am a part of the group, or of associated with that person in some way. So this is a neutral peer pressure. Then comes a negative one, the one about which we talk a lot. Peer pressure will change the child. The peer pressure will bring about problems in the child. Like this, here addiction becomes important. A child first will try different things which can be the cause of addiction because of the peers, or not always, sometimes because of parents as well. They just try to imitate their parents, but then many times it's the peers or the group of friends to whom they want to conform to, and hence they would try something or attempt something which will be detrimental for their health in long run. So these are the reason why a man or a woman is known by the company he or she keeps. So peers do play an important part. While talking about why peers play an important part, I would like to talk about Maslow's need pyramid. Anybody who has little idea about psychology have heard his name, Maslow. Maslow has given a need hierarchy. Like we all have certain needs which are important in our life. Like the need hierarchy proceeds in this way. Once the basic need is satisfied, we go to the next. Again, when this need is satisfied, we'll proceed to this, and so on. So the most basic need is a physiological need, which includes hunger, thirst, and sometimes sleep or sex. So the physiological needs includes hunger, thirst, and so on. Once this need is satisfied, we move to the next, the safety needs, to feel secure, safe, and out of danger. When we are not threatened, we have always heard this roti kapra makan. So it comes in this way. First is food, and then home or clothing, which will come in this need, safety needs. Then comes the belongingness need, the need to belong. I need to be a part of somebody. I need to be a part of family. I need to be a part of my friends. In most of the cases, in an adolescence, these two needs are already satisfied. They need to move to the third one, or they need to belong. So once this need is satisfied, they'll move to the next one, that is the esteem needs, or the need to achieve. The need to achieve, where we gain our self-esteem, we gain our confidence and everything. Then come the cognitive needs, the need to know, understand, and explore. The aesthetic needs, the need of order, symmetry. This order, symmetric, and beauty is far beyond these three words. It's like the aesthetic needs can include to my feeling or my want to visit a place which is nice, my capability of romanticizing something, my capability of understanding that something is beautiful and something is not, and many things more. Aesthetic needs need not be only something which is actually very aesthetic in sense. Anything can appear to be, anything can be aesthetic to me and may not be aesthetic to somebody else. And finally comes, sorry, any question? Or should I continue?
Didi, another problem that we are having regarding this only, that self-actualization, as you're saying. Similarly, a lot of people think low of themselves. How do we cope up? Like a lot of people think that they are not important in their others' life. How do they cope up with this situation?
Why do adolescents lack in their self-confidence is something which I thought of speaking, is that most of the adolescents do not lack in their self-confidence until they're attacked by their parents, or by their teacher, or by a group of people whom they feel are very relevant to them. They lack the self-confidence because they have sometime or the other faced that attack. Now, this self-esteem needs in these people are something which need to be looked at. So their achievement should be enhanced. They should be given an alternative view that yes, you have achieved, you have come this far, and you can go beyond. Or you have, when they fail to look at their achievement, their friends, their family should help them. And even they can help themselves. Every time I feel down, every time I think lowly about myself, I should look back and think, what are the things which I have done? Because not that achievement for one person will hold the same meaning for the other. For me, setting appropriate goal is absolutely important in this case. If I set goals which are not quite possible, if I set goals which are not quite appropriate for me, it will be wrong, because a fish cannot climb a tree. So I need to know who I am. Therefore, the need for self-exploration in this case is very important. I need to understand my boundaries. I need to understand what are my, again, the strong points on which I can work on. Once I do that, I start letting myself know, yes, I have worked properly. I have given the best of myself, and I have achieved this much, and I can go on to achieve more. I think this need for self-confidence, the lack of self-confidence which we are talking about, can be helped. So I'll proceed to the next slide, because I think the time is running away at this moment. So the role of environment. After parenting, peers, come the environment in which the child is. So first, it's the home. The factors which are associated with the home is room for perspective sharing. In my home, is my perspective given attention to? What I think, what I feel, how I think, how I feel, is that given importance, or am I not given, or my feelings aren't given importance at my home? Is a very important part of how I will perceive my home, how safe place I take my home to be. Then comes the socioeconomic stability, about which I have spoke already. Is the place where I stay safe socioeconomically? Is it, I do not mean to the socioeconomic stability can be anything which I perceive to be stable. It need not be again a same or uniform definition for everybody. It is something where I can function properly. Then comes the attention available. If I'm not given enough attention in the family, what if I am the first child who have lost the attention because the second child has arrived? What if I'm the second child who lacks the attention because the first child is taking away everything? What if I am the child who is not getting the attention because my parents are extremely busy with their own life? So the attention availability is very, very important in case of adolescents, because they are the one who are experiencing the spotlight effect, and if they do not get enough attention, they'll have a lot of problem. Then comes factor associated with family. Family is a primary group. We cannot choose our family. This is the only group we cannot choose. Therefore, in a family, there are a lot of people whom we want, whom we do not want, whom we like, we do not like. Here we cannot be choosers, but we will have to be the acceptors. Unless we have the agency enough, to walk away from the family men. So here the zone of acceptance need to widen up, loosen up, and the family should be looked into a place where I can find safety, security, and also belongingness. Then come the primary feedback provider. The family is the first primary feedback provider. My parent, my father, my mother, my sister, my grandparents are the one who will first give me an idea about myself. If they say that you are lagging behind all other child, you are not that good enough. Nobody can fill up this gap unless the child is grown up enough, the child has found someone or the other who is equally relevant to him or her. So they're the primary feedback provider. Then comes the family structure and size. How big is the family? What is the structure of the family? Is it a nuclear family, a joint family, a dysfunctional family, a functional family, anything? Is the child living with a single mother, with a single father, with a in a joint family where everybody is present, or with a father only, with two fathers, with two mothers, or whatever? The family size and family structure will matter a lot. Then comes the perception about social structure, how the family perceives the social structure. What are their views about religion, race, culture, and everything? So these are the factors which will determine the personality of the child throughout their life. So the primary group, the perspective the child develop about the family, the attention the child receive, everything has an important role to play in the child's life. Then come the school. Adolescence found in three places: the secondary school, the class 9s and 10s, the high schools, the 11, 12s, and the school and the college, where like 18 and beyond, because I have taken the range up till the age of 19. So in the secondary school, what happens? The transition begins. It is a good girl, good boy phase. We term it as good girl, good boy phase because at this age, a child is seeking for, approval from the society that yes, you're a good boy, you have done a good thing, you're a good girl, you have achieved something. So something which a child is looking for here is praise from everybody who is relevant to him or her. We all look for praise, but at this age, this praise is the currency of their well-being. Then come the development of value system. At this age, they develop what are the important value systems, like what are the morals they should abide by. And here the spotlight effect also begins. With a good girl, good boy phase begins the spotlight effect. Like, I have been a good girl, so the spotlight should be on me. I had been a good boy, the spotlight should be on me. And in this way. Then comes the high school. This is the most dynamic phase where I am craving for autonomy. I will take all my decisions. I will do everything that has to be done. I will be this whole decision maker for myself. Time for learning industrial work. Here, industrial work means academic work or anything that will help in making the child independent economically. Then comes I am special phase. I am special because I am going to do something or achieve something which none have done. I am doing something which is very, very important, which most of the people did not think, and therefore I am special. The cry of autonomy is made by increased responsibility. But suddenly, as they're seeking for autonomy, they find they're met with a lot of responsibility. So much of responsibility that they did not apprehend, or they did not apprehend about. They did not initially think that they'll have to have so much of responsibility at this moment. Then come the child is now then come the college, about which I'll talk the list because none of you are college goers now. So the child is now socially recognized. It is the phase where the child is working on their career right and hard. Here, development of both intimate and professional relationships takes place in both personal realm as well as professional realm, and hence the adolescence culminated this phase. So I'll move on to the next part. This was a part which most of you are talking about, the issues faced by the adolescents. So before I begin with it, I will show you a questionnaire. So I hope everybody can see this. Can everyone see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is a questionnaire. You know, you'll have to rate each of the sentences from 0 to 4. Like, in the last month, how often have you been upset because of something that happened unexpectedly? Suppose you had been very upset about it. So you'll score this sentence.
We can do this. Everyone can just name, in the chat box, you can give the numbers that they have done this, like this. They can say 1, 2, 3, so that whenever you ask the question.
No. Let me finish. So suppose you will have to read this sentence. So I relate with this sentence a lot. So I will rate it 4. I relate with it the least. I'll comes almost never, sometimes, often. In this way, suppose I have sometimes felt it, so I'll rate it 3. In this way, I'll read all the 10 sentences for you. You people rate it on your paper. You will have your score, so you do not need to share with me or with anybody. You just have your score. You just keep it with yourself. And in case you feel you need to share it with me, you come up later. We will just be trying to understand how stressed we are at this moment. Okay. So should I begin? Everybody is ready? You'll just have to write the number. You'll just have to write the number and wait until further instructions. I'll read out every sentence and you rate the sentence accordingly. Okay. Should I begin?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
In the last month, how often have you been upset because of something that has happened unexpectedly? In last month, how often have you been upset because of something that happened unexpectedly? The second one. In the last month, how often have you felt that you were unable to control important things in your life? In the last month, how often have you felt that you were unable to control important things in your life? In the last month, how often have you felt nervous and stressed? In the last month, how often have you felt confident about your ability to handle your personal problems? In the last month, how often have you felt things were going away or things were going your way? Sorry. In last month, how often have you felt things were going your way? In the last month, how often have you found that you could not cope with all things that you had to do? In the last month, how often have you been able to control irritation in your life? In the last month, how often have you been able to control irritation in your life? In the last month, how often have you felt that you were on top of things?
Ma'am, can you please explain this one?
Which one?
Ma'am, there is one just number.
Sorry?
Last one. In the last month, how often have you felt that you're on top?
On top of it, things. That is, things are in your control.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
In the last month, how often have you been angered because of things that happened that were outside your control? In last month, how often have you felt difficulties were piling up so high that you could not overcome them? Okay. So we move on to the interpretation part. Anybody wants
Yes,
me to
ma'am.
repeat any question or any statement? Anyone? Okay, so I'm moving on. So you can determine your score for statement number 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 7, and 8. 4, 5, 7, and 8. Except for those, for initially you add all your score. You add up all your score. Did you do that? Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Now add the scores of 4, 5, 7, and 8. Did you do that? Is it done?
Yes, ma'am.
Now
Yes,
subtract this second score from the first score.
Madam, can you repeat the last part?
Subtract the second score from the first score. Like
Before that.
Did you add 4, 5, 7, and 8?
No, ma'am.
Add that 4, 5, 7, and 8 separately, apart from the total score that you have got. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Now subtract the second score from the first score. Now you know how stressed you are. If your score is from 0 to 13, it's a low stress. You're not having a very high stress in your life at this moment. If it is from 14 to 26, you have moderate stress in your life. Now, if it is from 27 to 40, you have high perceived stress and you need to actually work to reduce that. And what can be done is something will depend from a person to person. So I need to know what is your life status at this moment to give suggestion on that. So you can DM me personally for that. Scores ranging from 27 to 40 would be considered high perceived stress. Okay. Is it okay? Everybody is done with this part? Anybody faced any problem? Should I proceed?
Yes.
Yes.
Should we do another question here or should we proceed? Or did
We
you
can-
like it?
Yes,
Then we can do another. Should we do another one? Another 10 statements?
Yes, ma'am. No problem.
Okay. So I'll be reading out the statements and you will have to score this time from 1 to 5, not 0 to 4 but 1 to 5. Is that clear? In the same
Yes,
way,
ma'am.
from 1 to 5. Okay. I fear others are having more rewarding experiences than me. I fear others are having more rewarding experiences than me. I fear my friends have more rewarding experiences than me. Did you get the difference? And now it is my friend me. Are having fun without I get worried when I get anxious when I do not know what my friends are up to. Am I visible?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
get anxious when I do not know what my friends are up to. Number 5. It is important that I understand my friends in jokes, like what they're talking about in their code languages. Sometimes I wonder if I spend too much time keeping up with what is going on. Sometimes I wonder if I spend too much time keeping up with what is going on. It bothers me when I miss an opportunity to meet up with friends. It bothers me when I miss an opportunity to meet up with friends. When I have a good time, it is important for me to share the detail online. When I miss out on a planned get together, it bothers me. When I go on vacation, I continue to keep tabs on what my friends are doing. Done? So we'll move on to the interpretation part.
Yes, ma'am.
So here it is. Add up all the score. This is the easy one. Add up all the scores. Just add it up. Scores ranging from 10 to 23 are considered having low fear of missing out. Now, what is fear of missing out? I'll be telling later. The scores ranging from 24 to 36 have moderate fear of missing out. And the scores ranging from 37 to 50 are considered to have very high fear of missing out on things. So I proceed to the next slide. So these are the most prevalent problems that teens faces. Just a moment. So first is stress. The one who had a high score on perceived stress scale have very high stress about, which can be both eustress as well as distress. Eustress is something which is positive, it can act in a positive direction to some extent. Everything has stress is a very very typical type of relationship with performance. When you're slightly stressed before examination, it only increases our performance. But when we're extremely stressed, it causes distress and it decreases our performance. So academic stress is a very big issue which the adolescence has to face. It is an important evil which we'll have to live with, because this is the only challenge we have in our life at this moment from our professional life. Then comes anxiety, uncontrollable worry caused by complete unpredictability of event. When we're not being able to predict our event, what will happen next, we feel extremely anxious. Then comes fear of missing out. Okay, so fear of missing out is something when I as a person believe that every other person who is around me is experiencing or having fun and I am missing on it. So for that reason, I stick to my device. I keep on looking or checking on what the others are doing, what I'm missing on. The people who had high score on fear of missing out are facing the same thing, that I am missing on the funny part, I am missing on the happy part, I am missing on the experiences which others are having. Then comes the eating disorder. It is characterized by eating, exercise, body weight, or shape becoming an unhealthy preoccupation of someone's life. Eating disorder is not something which is only characterized by eating or binge eating whenever we want to. It can be anything. It can be less eating. It can be more eating. It can be eating to an extent which is not necessary. It can be eating so less that it becomes a problem or a biological problem for the person. So these are the common health problems which are faced by the adolescents. Now we go to the last part, that when should we seek help? We need to seek help every time I perceive that I am not capable of handling my emotion. I should approach a person who is a mental health professional every moment I feel this, anytime and immediately. Like every time I have fever and I feel that yes, this fever will go away by itself, or maybe I know what things can correct it, I already have a knowledge about it, I might not walk up to a doctor. But every time I feel that no, I cannot manage it myself, I walk up to a doctor. So it is very important to raise our voice against the taboo that is there on mental health discussion. Talking about mental health is not calling yourself mentally disabled. Even if we are having a mental health problem, it is important for us to talk about it, to understand it, so that we can come up with a solution to that problem. So here are the 3 types of people you can actually approach when you have a problem. So a psychiatrist is a physician who will give you a medicine. Suppose you are lacking a sleep, he will give you a medicine. The medicine will externally change the system of your body and help you to sleep. Again, you'll have to consume the medicine as long as you do not internally fix the problem, so that you do not no longer need the medicine. Now, for fixing that problem, you need to know your emotion, you need to deal with them, you need to overcome the problem which have arisen, because of which the sleep problem, the pattern of sleeping has changed, or eating behavior disorder has occurred, or you have felt stress. You'll have to change the entire scenario so that that does not continue. The psychiatrist is capable of administering necessary drug for regulation and maintenance, but there are certain conditions where this entire controlling cannot be done by yourself. You need an external help which will help you to ease these problems. So that is done by the psychiatrist. Once you can sleep properly, now you think, why didn't I sleep last night? Why could not I sleep for last 1 month? So that now let me fix this problem. Let me fix my sleep cycle. Let me do that in that way. Then come the psychotherapist. Psychotherapists in India are different from psychologists. Psychotherapists are the one who are licensed to conduct different therapies. Different therapies might include behavior therapies, might include existential therapies, or psychodynamic therapies, which we all know by the name of Sigmund Freud. What he actually did was a psychodynamic therapy. So psychotherapists are the one who will do therapeutic intervention in your behavior, which will bring about effective changes, reduce the mental disorder, the problems faced during a mental disorder, give you proper diagnosis and help you to overcome this. Then comes a psychologist. A psychologist is somebody who has got a master degree in psychology and can provide counseling to a person who is undergoing stress. Now, not every psychologist is capable of doing this. The psychologist must have a proper training about it in their master days. Like, there can be different type of psychologists, like the developmental psychologist, or maybe the industrial psychologist, the experimental one, depending upon what they have done in their master days. If a person has done clinical psychology in their master days, they can come up and counsel a person who are undergoing preliminary psychological problem, like undergoing stress, facing problem in making decision, having family issues, and so on. And with that, I end my presentation. I would like to thank these people specifically for helping me throughout this webinar. And thank you, everyone. I would love your feedback and take your question now.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, any questions?
Everyone, you can feel free to give all the questions you want to ask. All right. Anything you want to ask so far, everything that has been discussed. Didi, I have a question. Yes, yes, of you. Yes.
Yes, of you. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Apure, it's no problem. Didi, I have a personal question. That is, in today's date, we are seeing many, the rise of violent games, not just from today, but in mobile phones, especially in today's date. Why are people attracted? Why are boys attracted towards violent games? Not many girls, in proportionately, but why are boys specifically attracted?
Because it challenges their capabilities, because they've been challenged at different areas or in different levels. With the challenges, actually increases in a very systematic way. Can you do this? Can you do that? In this way, they're challenged about their capabilities, and hence they want to satisfy their esteem or boost their confidence by doing that. Yes, I can do that. And this adolescence period is a period where these challenges are taken very seriously, and they move on into those games. And okay, so any other thing? Okay, I'll just go back and see if I have missed about anything.
Yeah, there is a question. It says, what is the difference between aggression, laziness, and depression?
Sorry.
The question says, what is the difference between aggression, laziness, and depression?
Depression is a disorder. Aggression and laziness are not disorders. They can be easily met with if one wants to, and depression is something which needs clinical intervention in most cases. There's a lot of difference in them.
Didi, there is another question. Aditya is asking, how can I speak to and help someone with mental health problem like depression or anxiety or anger?
How can I speak to an... Okay. Firstly, when a person is having mental health problem, you speak to the person with empathy. You try to understand if the person actually wants your presence there or not. And then if the person is actually allowing you and taking your views, then help the person to deal with it in the way you feel is helpful. And of course, when the person is suffering from depression or anxiety, it is not a cup of tea of everyone to help the person. The person needs to walk up to the professionals. As I am like trying to put up in this way, it is very important to walk up to professional every time it is required. Not, I cannot help you because I'm your friend. I cannot help you because I'm your parent. I cannot help you because I'm your teacher. I need to be a professional to help you. Otherwise, I cannot help you. Because I have certain personal feelings towards you. I might want to protect you from the situation, but that doesn't assure that I will be able to help you out from the situation. I think we are running out of time. So
yes, exactly.
Okay, the last one I'll answer. Can you give any tips to those who want to pursue psychology in future? Of course, anybody who want to pursue psychology should definitely do so, because there is the country at this moment after pandemic specifically needs a large number of mental health professionals, and we are lagging behind by huge numbers. Please take up your graduation course, then go by the master's course. But of course, when you take up the subject, be ready to study for another 7-10 years, because before that, you are not entitled to counsel a person. You can, of course, work in industry. You can do whatever you want to in industry or other areas. Like you can, of course, go for teaching profession after your master degree with going with a B.Ed course and all. But if you want to work as a clinical psychologist after your class 12s, 7 years of education is a compulsory. And then if you want to go for a PhD and all, it will, of course, take up more time. But of course, I'll encourage anyone who want to take up psychology to do take it up, because it is extremely interesting and important at this point of view, at this point of time. So with that, why are Indian people so ignorant about mental health? Because in India, a lot of people are actually living below the poverty line, who are also reluctant about their physical health as well. They do not have the luxury to think about anything. And both physical health and mental health in this case appears as luxury to them. And specifically, the physical health is still spoke about because, without that it becomes difficult to live. But mental health is not given much importance because people do not perceive the mental health as the mental health problems as a part of their physical health problem. But as you will learn more, as you will look into the problems more intricately, you'll soon realize that yes, the physical health as well as the mental health, they go hand by hand, and they are actually influencing one another. So it is important to talk about it. India at this moment is not talking about it, not only because of their poverty level, which is of course important. It is also because we do not have much funding for social sciences. The colleges do not have funding, the universities do not have funding. Naturally, we have very limited number of social health workers, and social sciences are not looked into something which is important, or mental health is not looked into something which is important. So yeah, the scenario needs to change. The young people need to study more of psychology, more of psychiatry, so that the scenario can change. The scenario won't change overnight, but it will definitely change. And after the response I've received from this webinar, I'm very sure that it will change. So I think the time is up. So we should be ending here. And anybody who has any other question or queries can direct message me. You'll get my please mail me. Yes.
Ma'am, how to make others understand that mental health is really important? Because there are many people out there who are still have the conception that it's only for those who have only mental issues. I mean, many people go to psychologists or psychiatrists for anger, stress, depression, trauma, etc.
By practicing that yourself. You start practicing yourself. You start advising 5 people around you. At least one will understand. At least one will understand. It is important to practice. We can preach easily when we practice.
Ma'am, do you think that psychology, the subject psychology should be should be taught even from earlier classes also, and not only from 11th class?
Absolutely. Even education boards are considering making psychology an important part of academics in very lower classes.
Yes, ma'am. This is important. I also think that. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So you people, any other question which you people have, you people can actually direct message me. You people try to reach me through my mail, because do not drop a WhatsApp or a message. I'll share my mail ID with the group, so you people can reach me there. I hope it was something you liked. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I love the webinar. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. It was a very wonderful session. All the questions are being answered. Thank you. So here we can end it up. It has been great. If you want to say something, and first of all, I would say that it's been a lovely audience with all the great questions. So yes, Dee, you can end it up. Any last statements?
No, it's okay. I thank you. I thank you all for inviting me to talk about it.
Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you, everyone.